Hey guys! So the internet is full of martial arts board breaking videos where experts smash through mountains of board and concrete, but there are very few that talk about what these boards are made of or where they come from. You might also struggle to find students breaking their first boards and the joys that come with that success, but today I'm looking to change that for you. All martial arts boards start as lumber, such as this. I typically cut boards from grade 2 whitewood, either poplar or pine. In this case, I'll be cutting pine shelving that's already cut 12 inches wide, and the kind of recognized standard for martial arts boards is white pine, 3/4 inches thick, 12 inches wide, and 12 inches tall. Later you'll see me cut some boards shorter, all the way down to 4 inches, and this is to make boards easier to break for younger or less experienced students. Now, there's a lot of things to consider when selecting good lumber for boards, and you should definitely take your time searching through the stacks. Some key things to look for are straight grain lines, minimal knots, especially in the middle of the board, and moisture content. You want the driest boards you can possibly find. Some other things to watch out for are cracks, such as seen in this otherwise pristine piece here. Running along the middle, that's definitely not a good breaking board. After looking around, I found this 6-foot cuts had some better stock and was particularly proud of this board here. I'll save this cut for my younger students because it's likely going to be one of the easiest ones to break. Alright, so I'm going to be using a miter saw today, chop saw, to cut these into sections. And I picked out kind of the nicest board here. It's really dry. It's got a good grain line, very straight. And this is what I'm going to use for my most beginner students. And I'm going to cut this one into 4-inch, 6-inch, maybe 8, 10, 12-inch sections. So those are kind of my options. 4 inches is pretty small, so 6 inches is probably the smallest I'm going to go. I may do 2 4 inches, several 6s, and then a few 8-inch boards so they feel like it. Full length would be a 12-inch board. I'm going to save those for kind of the bigger cuts. So I got my vacuum cleaner hooked up, and we'll get some cuts going here. After everything is cut, it's a good idea to let the boards dry as long as you possibly can. It was really humid out in the garage, so I brought them inside and left some fans blowing on them as well. Leaving space between the boards helps the moisture escape more evenly. Alright, so we're here at Emerald Coast Martial Arts today. Got my beautiful wife Rachel with me, and while she has some martial arts experience, she's never broken a board before. I just wanted to show that anybody can actually do this. It's fairly simple if you have a good instructor. So you're going to do a downward hammer fist. Alright, so the biggest things are to come like way up, drop your body straight down. And the other thing we're going to do is fist position. So you want to curl your fingers together like that, and your thumb is going to rest on the top of your index finger. Keep your knuckles from smashing. You want to hit with the pad right here of the hand. Don't rotate such that you hit the back of the hand, this knuckle, or your wrist. So practice a couple times just getting the right positioning. You might want to widen your stance just like that. Boom. Drop. Yep. Make sure just your fist makes contact, not your arm. Good. Yep. Okay, follow through to the ground. Yep. Great. Sweet. Easy as that, guys. Good job, then.
Thanks.
Many of my students found that the hammer fist was a great place to start as well, and getting their first board breakthrough on any size board was a great confidence boost that would let them try harder techniques later on. If you're not a martial artist, you might be asking why we break boards in the first place, and that's a great question. Well, it's been explained to me that wood has a similar density to bone, and it's often used as a stand-in for bone in crash or impact testing and many other similar applications. So, the logic goes that if you can break a full-size wooden board, you can probably break a rib or a collarbone if you had to in a self-defense situation. Also, the very hard surface of the board is an unforgiving surface if you have the slightest error in technique, and pain is unfortunately an excellent teacher. This is where it's up to the instructor to make sure that students have a foundation of good solid technique before they try to break their first board and injure themselves. Next, I'll show you how I coach students through their first breaks by showing them a couple of advanced techniques that I can do, followed by individual coaching on the techniques that they will be performing.
So the longer the grain, the harder the break. So this is like the hardest board to break. For the break I'm about to do though, this is about the only one that will work because it has to have some momentum in the board to do it. Good techniques to start off with trying are like hammer fist, palm heel strikes here or down. The only foot technique we had in the last class was a front kick. I would love to see somebody try a side kick. All right, so I'm going to try a hammer fist. I did one of these at home earlier, so I should be able to do it. But the hammer fist, make sure you got the fingers in tight, knuckles on top. You want to hit dead center of the board. And normally you want to drop your weight like that. I have to do this one sideways because I'm holding the board. Okay, one thing I haven't talked about is how to hold him, so thank you, sir. He's got his arms locked in like this, elbows into the body, good solid stance. And so it wants as little of the energy to go into him as much as into the board. So if he's got his arms out straight and his elbows bent, it's just going to recoil like that. So he's got his elbows turned in tight. That's helping me out. All right. Come up, drop, practice a couple times. And when y'all practice, guys, physically just touch the board. I don't want you to practice firmly because then you'll think that's how you're going to break it. When you practice, just come up, and I mean like feather touch. That way when you actually try to break, you put all power. Okay. Yep, lift up the body a little bit more. Break it, brother.
The students in this class are much more advanced, and so they started trying the same kind of breaks like hammer fist and front kicks, but they were breaking on bigger pieces of wood. And by the end of the class, they were doing more complicated breaks like side kicks and palm heel strikes and that sort of thing. And it just goes to show that you need a little bit of time on the mat before you can actually start to do clever board breaking techniques. I'll close with some of the best breaks of the night. After getting their confidence built up, these students were breaking 12-inch boards with ease and kept pushing themselves to perform more and more difficult techniques like side kicks and more difficult palm heel strikes. And if you have any more questions about board breaking and martial arts, please comment below and subscribe to get more great martial arts material like this. Thanks for watching.